My son's phone rang, and it was the number of my wife who died 6 years ago. I was sipping that burnt-tasting Starbucks from the office thermos-eyed, made in a rush, half asleep, bleary-eyed. The TV flickered on with CNN's morning headlines. I glanced absent-mindedly, scrolling messages on my phone while scraping bacon bits into my plate. Jason, in his oversized pajamas, came down the stairs like he does every morning, still carrying the scent of sleep. We chatted about his math test. I told him to try the new worksheet I'd shoved in his backpack last night. I told him to hurry up or he'd miss the school bus. He grunted, mumbled something about, "I know, Dad, I know," and reached for the phone on the kitchen island. Then the ringtone blasted. His phone. The display read, "Mom, 555 1872345. My wife's number. The number she had on the day she died, 6 years ago this month. I jerked upright, cold brew sloshing in my mug. "Jason, man, what the hell? Isn't that her number?" I said, stealing my voice into calm. He froze. Phone mid-ring. His eyes went wide. "Dad, I swear I didn't call it." The ring cut off. For a millisecond, silence. Then the line went dead. I felt a primal panic. My heart pounded loud enough I thought the dog would hear. "You gotta be kidding me," I muttered under my breath, more to steady myself than from hope. I walked over slowly, took the phone. My hand shook even before I saw the screen. The number was still there. No voice made. No missed call. Just nothing. And for a moment, I wondered, could it be her? But come on. That's totally nuts. Yet something in that silence felt louder than any scream. I looked at Jason. His eyes were wet, or maybe that was me imagining it. "Dad," he whispered, What if someone's messing with us?" I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. And that's when I understood. This morning wasn't over. Far from it. I tried to shake it off. Told myself there must be a glitch. Caller ID spoofing, maybe technology messing with us, or some prankster dialing random numbers. Hell, maybe Jason pressed the wrong contact. I racked my brain for rational explanations, practical stuff. Phones messed up, numbers recycled. I told myself. Doesn't mean anything. I went to the cupboard, opened a cereal box, the new Kellogg's Frosted Flakes I bought last week, poured a handful into a bowl. Crunch. The only normal noise in a suddenly off-kilter morning. But every crunch echoed differently. I glanced at the calendar, stuck to the fridge. November. Cold outside. The kind of crisp Texas morning where you can feel frost on metal. Leaves already turning brown on my lawn. 6 years ago, that was when she died. My wife, my high school sweetheart, the mom of my kids, the anchor in my crazy up and down life. I remembered the funeral. The disbelief. Standing in that crowded church, staring blankly at the casket, hearing people whisper, "I'm so sorry," like some kind of cruel chant. That was real. It happened. I took a sip of coffee. Bitter. Too bitter. I looked at Jason, younger then, just 5 years old, clutching his teddy bear. I swallowed hard. "Buddy," I said, trying to keep calm. Let's just go on, okay? You ready for school?" He nodded, but his movements were stiff. Not like him. His voice cracked when he said, "Yeah, sure, Dad." Truth? My gut was screaming no way. That number on the screen, it wasn't coincidence. At least not something I could explain easily. I picked up my laptop, old, clunky, but I used it to file taxes and store receipts. I logged in, opened the call history sync. Nothing. No call from that number during last night. No unusual activity. That meant the call never actually hit the network, or it hit and vanished. Like it was never meant to be recorded. I stared at the blank history window. A cold chill spread from my chest down through my arms. Because in that emptiness, I saw something that felt scarier than ghosts. Someone had engineered this. I didn't know who. I didn't know why. But I knew this morning, this mistake, was the beginning of something bigger. Something dangerous. And I was going to find out what. I dropped Jason off at school, eyes darting every couple of blocks, checking rearview mirrors like I was expecting to see a tail. And I realized something. I felt more alive than I had in 6 years. Adrenaline, terror, confusion. A cocktail you never order, but you're forced to drink anyway. Back home, empty. The house creaked like it was yawning awake. I paced the living room, staring at the photos on the wall. Wedding photos. birthday parties, Christmas mornings. Me, her, and little Jason in the middle grinning. She had that laugh, high musical like jingling bells. I closed my eyes. For a second, I thought I heard her voice. I shook my head. Stop it. Then I heard the garage door open. The dog, Rosie, trotted in, tail wagging. She shook herself and barked. Normalcy crashing into my chaos. I tried to call my friend Mike, someone who knew her back then. Someone we used to hang out with after work at that Irish pub downtown. I needed a witness. Someone to tell me I wasn't losing it. Mike answered on the third ring. Yo, man, what's up? He said. Hey, I said, voice clipped. You around? Dude, yeah. I'm heading out to lunch in like 10. Why? What's up? I hesitated. Then I said, remember. You remember, right? Sarah. Silence on the other end. Then, of course, bro, hell, who could forget? All right. Just, can you dig up her old phone number? You got her info somewhere. She showed you sometimes, right? Another pause. Then, yo, why? What's going on? I didn't answer. I didn't know. Click. He hung up. I stared at the phone in my hand. My breath shallow. I knew what I had to do. I had to get that number. I had to see if somehow, maybe, but hell, what was I hoping? A ghost? A glitch? A cruel prank? I didn't know. But I was chasing a ghost. And ghosts don't wait. Because at that moment, I decided I'm going to follow this, no matter how twisted or insane it gets. I spent the afternoon digging through old emails, backup folders, saved documents. I mean, who keeps old phone records, right? But I did. I kept everything. Tax papers, insurance, hospital bills, mortgage statements. Also a folder with contacts. Yes, weird, but I guess I was always a bit paranoid. And there it was, Mom, 555 1872345. The label Mom, funny, bitter. I opened the file. Metadata, created August 2008, modified October 2014, the day before her funeral. My heart hammered. I printed it out on the ancient printer in the corner, paper hissed, then spat out white paper with black lettering. The number matched. I stared. The room felt colder. The walls closer. I sat back, rubbing my temples. I felt dizzy, nauseous. Coffee needed a second refill, but I couldn't drink it. Then, the ringtone cut through the silence, louder now. Not from my phone, from the landline next to me. I froze. I didn't plug in that phone 6 years ago after the move. The line hadn't been active. I unplugged it, cap dangling from the wall. I didn't plug it back. Ever. But it rang. Slow static at first, then a breathy click. Heavy breathing. Deep. Labored. Dad. Whispered a woman's voice, cracking. Dad. My chest went numb. My fingers couldn't unclench. I stumbled back. Landline slipped out of my hand and hit the hardwood floor. It clattered, then went silent. My eyes snapped to the front window. The street outside looked normal. Moving cars, a garbage truck rounding the corner, kids waiting at the bus stop. Nothing supernatural. Nothing cinematic. Still, the air felt like ice water on my skin. I stood there, breathing shallow, because in that moment I realized this isn't a mistake. This is a message, and whoever sent it doesn't want to be ignored. I grabbed my coat, my keys, and my laptop. I stuffed the printed contact slip in my back pocket. I felt strapped for war. I headed to the downtown cafe, the one where I used to meet Mike and Sarah after work. On the way, traffic lights seemed to slow. My mind raced. What if this is more than some messed up prank? What if someone's targeting me? Targeting us? I pulled up to the cafe, windows dusty, lights dim. The same corner booth where we used to laugh, drink, share dreams. It felt hollow now, like the ghost of a good time. I slid into the seat before I even thought. Order black coffee. No sugar. No cream. I couldn't swallow anything sweet today. I half expected the barista to ask if I was okay. But she didn't. She just poured the coffee, slid it over with a look, sympathetic but distant. I tapped my foot, my pulse roaring. I took out my phone, dialed Mike again. This time he picked up fast. Dude, he said, you sound like hell. You okay? I tried to laugh. Yeah, bro. Just weird morning. I played it off. Light. You got that number? He paused again. Hold on. Silence. Then, okay. I found something. His voice lowered. That number, 55518723345. It got reassigned 2 years ago to someone in Dallas. I slammed my hand on the table. Dallas. My heart sank. Why the hell does a number that used to belong to my dead wife now belong to some random in Dallas? Mike hesitated. Then, could be spoofing, man. You know how people do. Maybe someone's messing. Mike hesitated. Then, could be spoofing, man. You know how people do. Maybe someone's messing with you. Why would they do that? I asked, voice shaking. Dude, I don't know. Maybe some scam? Maybe. I don't know. Someone's testing the waters. I took a deep breath, looked outside. Cars. People. Life going on like nothing happened. I closed my eyes. Said quietly, we're gonna find out. But I didn't know how. I spent the next hour digging online records for that Dallas number. White pages, reverse lookup, old forums, whatever might give me a clue. All I got was a name, Lucas Myers. No picture that matched, no address, nothing solid. I wanted to scream. I wanted someone to say this was a mistake. But the facts, cold, brutal, they lined up. That number, reassigned. The call, the static voice. I went back to the car, coffee gone cold in the cup holder. I stared at the steering wheel, knuckles white. I thought about my son. How his life, until now, had been safe. Quiet. Normal. And now this. Hang on, kiddo, I murmured. Daddy's gonna fix this. I shoved the phone number into my glove box for safekeeping. Locked the car. I had no plan, no backup, just a gut feeling. Then my phone vibrated. Text message. Hey man, long time no see. Remember me? No number shown. Just that message. I looked at it, cold sweat prickling down my spine. I read it again. Remember me? My heart dropped. Because I did. Saw that message. Same phrasing. Same emptiness. And I knew. Someone wanted to scare me. Someone who remembered. Someone I once trusted. Someone from my past. I didn't go home that night. I drove instead, aimless, to the skyline of Dallas. I sat in the car, staring at the lights, the glass towers, the hum of a city that never sleeps. I pictured the guy behind that number, somewhere in those towers, maybe in a tiny apartment, smirking, watching some dark comedy he crafted himself. I felt rage. Hot, burning. I clenched the steering wheel so tight fingernails dug into my palms. I whispered, "Who sent that message? You got some nerve, buddy. You mess with my family, you mess with me." I wasn't thinking straight. I drove back late, pulling into my driveway at 2 a.m., dog barking, Rosie as I stepped out. I wanted sleep. I deserved sleep. But my brain spun, replayed every moment since breakfast. The ring, the call, the landline, the message. It all pointed to someone trying to break me. Break us. And I realized, maybe not random. I unlocked the front door, flicked the light on. Nothing moved. The hum of old refrigerator, the ticking clock on the wall, everything quiet. But I didn't calm down. I walked around the house, did a mental sweep. Windows locked, locks working, car and garage. Safe. Safe-ish. Until the back door creaked. I froze. The silence got thicker. I edged toward the door. Then I heard footsteps soft, on the wooden floor upstairs. My heart slammed. I reached for the nothing. No weapon. No gun. I sold my old piece after Sarah died. I didn't need it. Or so I thought. I whispered, "Who's there?" No reply. Just quiet. Then a single sound. A picture frame falling. Glass shattering. I sprinted toward the stairs. Because some ghosts don't wait by the phone. They walk through the front door. I hit the stairs two at a time. Every step creaked under my weight. I grabbed a baseball bat, old wooden, dusty, leaning against the coat rack. My knuckles were shaking. Stay where you are. My voice cracked but loud. Silence. Then a footstep above. Then another. I climbed, bat raised, adrenaline surging. Arms heavy, breath ragged. At the top, I froze. In the hallway, I saw movement. A figure hunched, rummaging through a drawer. I couldn't make out the face. He wore a hoodie, hood drawn tight. "Hey," I shouted. "Get out of my house." He froze, slowly turned. Silhouette. I raised the bat, ready to swing. Then he spoke. Voice calm. "You shouldn't have dug, man." I barely registered the words before he bolted. Downstairs. Through the kitchen. I gave chase, bat swinging, but would met air. He was fast. He lunged for the back door, yanked it open, and vanished into the night. I stood there, panting, bat raised, the door swinging gently from a force. I dropped the bat. Glass shattered on the floor. A vase lay toppled, water pooling. I blinked. Reality crashed back. I checked. Nothing stolen. No cash. No electronics. Only my sense of safety. Gone. I rubbed a hand over my face. Felt weary. Defeated. But inside, rage cold and sharp. He was sending a message. Not just to me. To my son, too. To my whole life. Who the hell was he? And why me? Next morning, I didn't go to work. Instead, I sat in the study with coffee that tasted like regret, sifting papers, emails, old directories. I wanted a name. Any name connected to Sarah, to me, someone with a grudge thin enough to slide into my life unnoticed. Then I found something, a small detail. Old emails from Sarah's corporate job. She worked at a mid-sized marketing firm in Austin. She was on a big project, a nationwide ad campaign for a chain of gyms. I remembered she complained about one colleague, someone named Lucas Myers. Same last name as the number. My heart thundered. Suddenly, everything connected. That number reassigned to Dallas. A message, remember me? A break-in. The call. The whisper on the landline. I almost threw up. I opened the door to the house roster, insurance paperwork, beneficiaries. When she died, I filed for life insurance, got millions. I used it to pay off the mortgage, secure Jason's college fund. But the beneficiary designation, I never changed it for a secondary beneficiary. The insurance company still recognized Sarah Anderson. What if someone wanted that money? What if someone thought, maybe after 6 years, enough time's passed to sneak in and claim it? I trembled. The picture on the wall, our family smiling, looked suddenly wrong-sized, blurry. I knew what I had to do. I needed proof. Solid proof. Otherwise, I was just a scared dad spinning stories in his mind. My phone buzzed. A text. See you tonight. I crushed the device in my hand. He's coming back. I stayed awake the entire day. I set up cameras. Old webcams I bought to catch the dog chewing the couch. I plugged them in, taped them in corners. Living room, hallway, entryway. I even set one outside pointed at the driveway. Better safe than sorry, right? I cleaned the house up. Nothing broken now that the vase was gone. I pulled all the picture frames down, stored them in closets. I didn't care about memories anymore. Not until I got answers. I kept the landline unplugged. Phone off. Laptop closed. Lights low. I paced, drank water, try not to check the watch every 5 minutes. And I waited. Night came. Wind chill creeping in. I heard the furnace kick on. Steady hum filling the silence. I sat in the dark corner of the living room, bat beside me, eyes on the hallway. Time crawled. Then footsteps. Soft. Hesitant. My heart lurched. I raised the bat. The front door handle rattled, softly. Then again. Click. Door opened. I sprang. Wood slamming against wood, bat swung. Then a scream. High guttural. And I flinched, horror flooding. Because it wasn't the intruder. It was my son. Jason lay on the floor, clutching his wrist, blood seeping through his shirt. His eyes wide in shock. I dropped the bat. Ran to him. He looked up at me. Pain, fear, betrayal. Dad, what the hell happened? I didn't know. And that's when I heard this soft voice behind me. You gave me what I wanted. Now I'm done with you. Calm. Cold. Final. Clipped footsteps down the stairs. Door schlemmed. Car sped off. Silence. And the scent of blood in the air. I lifted Jason in my arms, screaming his name. I bumped his head, tried to staunch the blood with towels, grabbed the phone, and dialed 911 with shaking fingers. While I waited, I held him. His skin turned pale, eyes fluttering. I pressed his wound, deep cut, probably from a knife blade. He moaned. Faint. Dad hurt. No, man, I won't let you. They're gonna be fine, I said, tears hissing in my throat. You hear me? You're gonna be fine. Sirens came. I scooped him up and carried him out, watching the porch light flicker in the darkness, wondering, for a split second, if that was the last time I'd see this home. At the ER, doctors worked fast. Blood, pain, stitches. I paced the waiting room like a caged animal. 2 hours later, a doctor came out, wiped her hands. He's stable, she said. It was close, but he's gonna make it. No long-term damage if we catch infection. Just rest, antibiotics. I exhaled like someone freed from chains. I felt like I aged 10 years in those 2 hours. I walked to Jason's room. He was breathing shallow, eyes closed. I sat by the bed, held his hand. "Dad?" He croaked after a long moment. "Yeah, buddy." I pressed his hand. "Dad's here." He squeezed back, faint. "Scared?" "I heard him, Dad. On the stairs." I thought it was Mommy. My heart cracked. I thought about calling the police. I thought about running. I thought about burning down every old phone, every record, every memory tied to that number. But then I realized, I can't outrun this. I need to face it, head on. I leaned back, looked out the window. Night outside, hospital lights blinking. I whispered, "Okay, you want it? You got it." Because I won't let them win. Not now. Not after this. The next morning I called the one guy I trusted, Mike. I told him everything. The call, the message, the break-in, the impact, the kid. He didn't flinch. "We're doing this together," he said. "I'll help you dig. We get that guy, whoever he is." We combed through public records, employment files, social media. Found a Lucas Myers formerly at Sarah's firm in Austin. Left around the time of her project fallout. No social media footprint now. But we found a recent job, data entry clerk for a small company in Dallas. We tracked down an address. A small duplex in a quiet suburb, not far from the number's area code. We drove there late at night, parked 2 blocks away. Infrared camera from the dashboard, just in case. We watched. Nothing happened for an hour. Then, headlights across the street. A black SUV. Tinted windows. It pulled up to the duplex, idled. Door opened. A man, tall, bulky, stepped out. Hoodie up. Face shadowed. He glanced around. Cautious. Then he walked inside. Mike pointed. "That's him." I gripped the steering wheel until white knuckles. "That's him." We kept watching. Nothing. No movement. No comings out. Then, motion lights in the backyard flicked. A silhouette moved outside. Squatting. Lifting something. I took a deep breath. I tapped my phone. Found him. That's when the headlights behind us snapped on. A siren. Blue and red. Painted across the front window like acid. I turned. Police car. Lights flashing. Shouting on a megaphone. "Driver, step out of the vehicle." All hell broke loose. Hands up, I stumbled out of the car. Mike beside me, same stunned look. 2 cops approached. One seized a dash cam and asked, "What's going on?" I explained fast, breathless, that address. That's where a guy linked to death threats, a break-in, attempted assault on my kid lives. He paused. "Then, you got evidence?" I fished out my printed slip, number, messages, and we just saw him enter. Cobb Nudda. Called it in. Moments later, more cars. Lights everywhere. Community, quiet suburb, lit up bright as day. From the duplex, doors banging. The silhouette darting through a back exit. A flash, and then a car speeding away. They didn't catch him that night, but we had a win. The cops took photos of the duplex, the mailbox, the camera's playback. They promised, "We'll run the plates, check footage from nearby business cameras." I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Driving away, Mike turned to me. "You think that's it?" I didn't answer. I stared out the windshield at the passing streetlights. Because I realized something scary. Maybe he doesn't want to get caught. Maybe this was never about justice. Maybe it was just about terror. And if that's the case, then this isn't over. 2 days later, I got a call from a detective handling the case. "Hey, John," he said my real name. "We traced the call, the spoofing number you saw. It's linked to an offshore VoIP service. But we found the original IP. It leads back to your old workplace." My old workplace. The heart stopped. I thought about all those late-night shifts, the budget cuts, the memos, the coworker fights. I thought about Sarah complaining about pressure at work, but only then. When I pushed, she'd say just office drama. I turned pale in the passenger seat. "It can't be," I muttered. Detective continued. "We're pulling logs, try to match timestamps. There was a user accessing that VoIP service from that office network the night of the first call." I stared at the dashboard. Then I realized there was only one person who left work early that night. One name popped up every time. "Detective? You mean someone I used to work with?" "Exactly." I closed my eyes. I saw the man. One coworker. Quiet. Friendly. Always smiling. But something about him too polite. Too smooth. Always asking about Sarah's work. Too interested. I whispered it was him. Detective sighed. "Probably. We're comparing his fingerprints. But yeah, we think we got our guy. I swallowed. Guilt, anger, relief, all twisted into one. Dad. Mike's voice cracked over the speaker. You need to come home, bro. I sat in silence for a long moment, because I realized I almost lost everything. My son, my life, my sanity. And if I wasn't chasing this, if I was slower, weaker, I might have lost more. I didn't go back to the duplex. I didn't watch the news. Didn't drive by the block. I just went home, to a quiet house, dog asleep in her bed, the morning light just starting to warm the windows. I pulled the old photo album down, opened to the first picture. Wedding day. Sarah in a white dress, me grinning like a goofball, Jason in a tie-dye t-shirt toddling between us. I closed my eyes. I flipped the page. Empty spaces where photos should have been. Birthday parties, first day of school, Christmas mornings. Moments lost. Memories fading. But now I had something. Proof. Evidence. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. Not vengeful power. Protective power. I sat down, let exhaustion wash over me. Dog crawled onto my lap. I patted her absent-mindedly. I whispered, "We're safe now, Rosie. We're going to be okay." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. Because I didn't just survive. I fought. I clawed back a little bit of peace. I looked up at the wall where the pictures used to hang. I decided I'd fix them someday, when the dust settled. Crazy, man. Life hits you out of nowhere. One weird morning, one call, and everything you thought was dead, grief, guilt, loss, comes roaring back. It hits hard. I realized grief isn't a wave that washes over you once. It's a tide, sometimes low, sometimes tidal wave. And grief can't be dodged. But you choose whether to drown or swim. When I saw that number on my son's phone, I could have screamed or handed him the phone and told him to forget it. But I didn't. I faced it, because letting fear win would have meant losing more than just sleep. I learned that justice doesn't always come clean. Sometimes it comes messy. You gotta grind, file reports, dig through months of data, reread old emails, chase leads. You sweat. You lose hope. But eventually, maybe someone notices, and you take that chance. I know some parts of this story sound like a horror movie, creepy stalker messes with grieving dad, but this was real. For me. For Jason. It hits in the heart, but the real battle goes on in the mind. Doubt, fear, what-ifs. Now, I'm teaching Jason what I learned. Life keeps moving. People you lose, you carry them forward. Memories aren't just photos. They're lessons. Strength, love, and fear. Fear, he doesn't get to win. Not if I still breathe. Not if I still have a beat inside me. Because every morning, for me, is a fight. A fight to protect what matters. Family. Future. Hope. So you want to know what happened to that guy? The cops never caught him. Not yet. The investigation's open. Maybe one day, maybe justice will show up. But even if it doesn't, I'm done running. Because I found something stronger than fear. I found survival. And I found reason to keep going. Or maybe just the beginning.